News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by U&I Furniture. On this month's Speak to the Mayor Hour on KBNU's For the People program on Wednesday, Logan City Mayor Holly Daines was joined by administrators from Logan City Public Works. She said through her office and the city council every year they have a priority list of planned public works projects.
We do. And, for years we've been saving for capital projects. The way we budget is we budget very conservatively at the end of the year. Typically departments turn money back. So between that and what's not used, extra revenue that's generated, we put money aside for capital projects because, as you know, they are very, very expensive.
Sure.
But again, we prioritize those. And I think these gentlemen can address maybe, how they prioritize and what they do.
On the program were Public Works Director Paul Lindhart, along with Program Manager Sam Odd. Lindhart said they have planned out projects, but there are also things that spring up that they may have to deal with, such as spring flooding.
Right now we look out the window and it's beautiful, it's spring. We're not thinking about the snow like we did last year, but the reality is the snowpack in the mountains is actually very similar to what it was last year. We're a little bit ahead, which is good, but depending on the temperatures and what happens, it could change very quickly. And so we're keeping a close eye on that as well.
Lindhart said they are not publicly announcing it yet, but at their facility on 1000 West, they already have a sandbag filling station set up for this spring if it's needed. Program Manager Sam Odd said it's going to be a busy summer for Public Works. He said probably the biggest project is at 1000 North, 200 West in Logan.
Yeah, probably the biggest one that people are going to notice is we're calling it our 10th North corridor improvements. Basically the intersection of 10th North, 2nd West. If anyone's driven through that in the last couple of years, they know it's a four-way stop now and very, very slow. So our highlight of that project is adding a stoplight there, and then as well as widening 10th North from about PetSmart on the east end to that intersection 2nd West on the west end, so 2 blocks.
That is one of about 12 to 15 large projects going on this summer. KBNU News Time is 4:05. KBNU weather for tonight. Looks like a few clouds, low in the upper 30s, and then mostly sunny tomorrow, mid-60s. Mostly sunny, around 70 on Sunday. And right now we have 57 degrees at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Roof Rescue, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry from minor repairs to complete roof replacement. 435-999-4268 or see roofrescueusa.com.
U&I Furniture has been located in the same downtown Logan location for 94 years. That doesn't happen unless you're doing some things right. For 94 years, U&I Furniture has been family-owned, family-operated, and family-supported. For 5 generations, they've been committed to taking care of customers, offering quality products at fair price. Lots of different brands and selections in chairs, mattresses, sofas, dining sets, bedroom furniture, floor coverings, appliances, and more. For 94 years, there's always a better buy at U&I Furniture, U&I in downtown Logan.
KBNU News Time is 4:06. National Park Week is April 20th through the 28th, and it kicks off with entrance fees waived this Saturday. Charlie Reed, the supervisory park ranger at Zion National Park, said plan to either arrive early or a bit later in the day to avoid the rush in the middle of the day. Reed says there are ways to avoid the stress of driving and parking around Zion. All of Utah's 5 mighty parks are preparing for big crowds. Karen Garthwaite, a spokeswoman for Arches and Canyonland, said that Moab is just busy. She says free admission days are rare because entrance fees support everything in the parks, from ranger salaries to search and rescue, signage, and bathrooms. Even if you can't make it down south to celebrate, Garthwaite says every Utahn should take this week to appreciate the natural beauty we have in our state. Arches is currently requiring timed entry reservations, although most times for April are sold out. More spots open up at 7 p.m. the night before you'd like to visit the park. And a man died at a hospital after getting struck by a tracks train in South Salt Lake on Thursday night. UTA spokesman Carl Arkey said a man in his mid to late 20s was struck by a northbound Blue Line train just after it left the Mill Creek station about almost 8:40 p.m. It is unknown why the man was on the tracks. No one on the train was injured, but the man was transported to Intermountain Medical Center in Murray in critical condition. He later died at the hospital, according to Arkey. A bus bridge was implemented between Central Point and Meadowbrook stations. The death is being investigated. KBNU News Time is 4:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
The newsmakers, the stories. Get it all here. News Talk KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Live at Anderson's Eden Garden, the spring open house continues through this weekend. 69 West Center, downtown Logan. We're here with Mark Anderson. We were talking earlier, Mark, right now a lot of people itching to get out in the yard, start some planting. Got some great deals on pansies, primroses, that even with the cold temperatures that we've got coming up, you could still put those in the ground. They're going to be just fine. But probably the other thing you're getting a lot of questions on right now are weeds. Because I'm looking at, particularly my neighbor's yard. I don't know why, but she has so many dandelions in her yard, and I just keep thinking, oh, they're coming over to our yard next.
Yeah, I mentioned to get outside as well, too. And I've got a patio where I get all kinds of weeds and grasses that pop up between the cracks of all the pavers. And we've got a spot where we used to have a parking pad as well, too. And the weeds are just popping up like crazy. And there's some really great options we got on sale in our open house ad and on sale here at the store, of course, that will help with those weeds. So not only do we have like kills all in a ready to use as well as a concentrated form, so that'll kill weeds and grasses. And if you use it in your vegetable garden, you can replant 4 days after you've sprayed. So you can spray, get those weeds starting to turn yellow, till those in, and then replant right after that. But if you want to stop weeds from coming up after you spray, then we've got an option which is the kills all extended. So not only will it kill what's there, weeds and grasses both, but then it has a pre-emergent extend to prevent new ones from coming up. So you can use that, like we use it on our patio, I use it in front of my barn, I use it in around my orchard, and it kills the weeds and grasses and then prevents new ones from coming up for 6 months. And it's safe to use around trees and shrubs. It won't affect those unless you spray like right on the leaves as well. And so it won't pick up through the bark, up through the root system, and it kills and prevents weeds. There, it's on sale. So our quarts of the kills all extended, they're on sale for $54.99. Covers 6,000 to 8,000 square feet. Yeah, so it covers a lot of area. So a lot of options for weeds, not just the weeds and grasses, but we have some good pre-emergence on sale this weekend as well too for the open house.
And it continues through the weekend. We're at 69 West Center, downtown Logan. Make sure you stop on by.
Hi everyone, it's Congressman Blake Moore here. One of my top priorities in Congress is addressing our crippling national debt, which has surpassed $34 trillion for the first time in American history. For the sake of the next generation's ability to achieve the American dream, Congress must take action to rein in our government spending and more efficiently and responsibly spend our federal resources. I'm working hard in Congress to craft policy proposals that lower our spending and deficits. On the House Budget Committee, we introduced our budget resolution for fiscal year 2025. According to the Budget Committee majority, this resolution proposes no new taxes, grows the economy over 3 times faster than the debt, balances the budget in 10 years, and much more. We've also passed through committee common sense legislation that would require transparency to the American people about the state of our nation's finances so big government can be held accountable. It's an honor to bring Utah's sound fiscal policy to Washington, and I will continue to fight for the American family as we seek to give our children a better economic future. Paid for by the official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
This is Jill Anderson, Executive Director of CAPSA. CAPSA is Cache Valley's Rape Crisis Center. CAPSA's sexual assault services extend beyond the primary victim to include their support network. As you support a victim of sexual abuse, you will have many questions and may experience your own trauma. Trained advocates will assist you by answering questions and providing resources. For support, please call CAPSA at 753-2500. When you know CAPSA, you know support.
The annual Greater Cache Valley Economic Summit, brought to you by Cache Valley Chamber of Commerce, is Wednesday, April 24th at the Riverwoods Conference Center. This year's keynote speakers feature Ryan Starks and Natalie Gocknauer. Experience a great day of networking, learning more about Cache Valley's economy and local projects, along with lunch catered by Elements Restaurant. Register now at cachechamber.com. It's the annual Greater Cache Valley Economic Summit, April 24th at the Riverwoods Conference Center.
Hey everyone, it's Lieutenant Parslow with the Logan City Police Department. It's time for our annual dog chipping clinic. We are teaming up with Bridgeland Technical College Animal Sciences to host this event. It will be held Saturday, April 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the B-Tech West campus, located at 1410 North, 1000 West in Logan. Pre-registration is $15 per chip and can be done by calling 435-716-9300. Walk-ins are also welcome at $20 per chip. All dogs must be on a leash and have proof of rabies vaccination.
for the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cash Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. Beautiful Friday afternoon, April 19th. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio as well. I'm not sure what's going on. We've gotten a lot of emails from listeners about several county races, and what I'm going to say to people at this point is just sit tight and see how things play out. We had a candidate in the, of course, Representative Dan Johnson announced in January his retirement and endorsed a candidate, current River Heights city mayor, for campaign to replace him. That race is really kind of quiet so far, but expect that to heat up as we enter into primary season. Of course, the Utah GOP will hold their statewide nominating convention Saturday, April 27th, and we'll have a clearer picture then. But in most of the statewide races, we already know candidates that are guaranteed a primary ballot spot through signature gathering. But some candidates in the gubernatorial race have not collected signatures. Phil Lyman, his campaign, we'll talk more about him in a second. Some embarrassing news here in Utah centered around his campaign and silliness. There's no other way to put it. From his campaign, but apparently not getting a lot of traction there. He was collecting signatures and then announced he changed his mind. He wasn't going to anymore, which is usually a way for a campaign to save face when they don't get enough signatures to get on the ballot. So Phil Lyman, for example, in that gubernatorial race is completely dependent on delegates at the convention, and he may be eliminated that day. He may be sent to a primary that day. Carson Jorgensen also in that race, former Utah GOP chair. The Jorgensen campaign has been pretty quiet on the public front, and sometimes that can be indicative of a smart campaign, realizing that if you're campaigning with just the 3,000 plus almost 4,000 Utah GOP delegates that you need to win a statewide nomination at the convention. Sometimes staying out of the headlines, something Phil Lyman has not been good at. Again, we'll get to that in a bit. Tragic news out of Payson today involving bomb threats at a school that tie directly into some of the antics of the Phil Lyman campaign. But Jorgensen has not made waves. He's not made. His social media presence is almost non-existent. And a lot of folks who are terminally online, is the phrase the kids use, will tell you, oh, you can't run for office without tweeting and posting on Instagram, etc. It's absolutely not true, especially here in Utah, and most especially when you're campaigning for the nomination among a few thousand delegates as opposed to all registered Republicans. So in this primary, now there's a chance the Jorgensen campaign is just non-existent entirely, at which point delegates will likely send Phil Lyman into a primary against Governor Cox just so there's a primary. But if the Jorgensen campaign has been smart, they've avoided the pratfalls of the Phil Lyman campaign and are just quietly wooing delegates, and then at convention would be sent to the primary ballot by the delegates. Again, I have no insider info on the Jorgensen campaign. I know as party chair, he was very popular. I also know he's a very reasonable guy with a good head on his shoulders when it comes to how to work campaigns. He can't serve as party chair for as long as he did without picking up some tricks, basically. Well, I shouldn't say tricks. That makes it sound like he's cheating. Some skills in how to woo delegates. So we'll see how this all plays out. The United States Senate race is a bit more of a unknown. Everyone collected signatures. Everyone's going to primary. So it really, I think at this point comes down to money, who's fundraising the most. Jason Walton actually coming in third behind the candidate that's been campaigning the longest, former House Speaker, Republican House Speaker Brad Wilson, and probably the front runner in this race, current District 3 Congressman John Curtis. John Curtis is well-known, statewide name recognition, and a moderate Republican, which is probably going to be his benefit during the primary. That at this point, again, is guaranteed. Brad Wilson has been trying to run more to the far right. I'm not sure why, where he's collected signatures already. He's going to be on the primary ballot already. So he has to now run away from some of the things once the primary starts that he's been saying to delegates, which are a little more to the far right, part of the political scale. And in the primary, he then has to appeal to statewide all registered Republicans who in Utah prefer moderates, like Governor Herbert. So we'll see and where it goes from here. But that race, so there are going to be a gazillion candidates in the primary, and not anyone, I would guess, eliminated at convention. So the convention for the United States Senate race is kind of irrelevant at this point. But in that gubernatorial race, it's going to play a key role in who is or isn't on that primary ballot, with not everyone collecting signatures there. So we'll see. When it comes to local races, so a lot of the questions we've gotten from listeners have been about where to meet the candidates, where to get to know the candidates. The Cache GOP has a lot of resources on this line. In fact, they have a list of the candidates with contact information on their website. They also have contact information for party leadership, where you can just reach out to them and say, if you wanted to, say, host an event with candidates for Utah House 3 or any of we're going to have, as the convention has already played out, we have some definition on races, some that are already decided, like the one council race where Keegan Garrity basically won the nomination outright, unseating incumbent Carl Ward in that Cache County Council district. He has a general election challenger, but it's a Democrat, and I don't think this is the year for Democrats in Cache Valley. So Keegan Garrity basically going to just ride that into office. Although he said when he joined us earlier this week to talk about his success at convention and why he felt his message was resonating with delegates as well as it did, he said he does plan to campaign either way because he wants to help do what he can as a candidate to generate turnout. So he'll be campaigning even though he technically doesn't need to at this point. Other races were not as clearly decided. Some council members sent into primary by delegates. Not a good convention for incumbents on the Cache County Council, which, as I said Monday, I think sends a hard-to-ignore message that, at least when it comes to Cache County Republican delegates, they are fed up with the shenanigans in the county government, specifically with the county council. As far as the Cache County attorney's race, that was a victory for Taylor Sorensen, who was one of two candidates in that race with Cameron Cox. Both joined us a couple of weeks ago on the show. Taylor was successful at getting the nod from delegates, and then we will just see how everything plays out from here. But as far as these county races go, again, those asking how they can get in touch with candidates, I know candidate meet and greet events are still planned. All the candidates, even those who were handed a victory by delegates last Saturday, are still campaigning. And it is honestly going to be a really interesting set of events, to say the least. But some news to announce along these lines. It was on and then off and then on again. But in that House District 3 race, you had Jason Thompson, River Heights mayor, who was endorsed by Representative Dan Johnson, who announced his retirement in January. And then you had former Cache County Council member Paul Borup. Borup, after the convention, dropped out, and then about 4 hours later jumped back in. But he is out again. It's official. Paul Borup has dropped out of that House District State House race, and that at this point makes current River Heights Mayor and candidate for Utah House 3 to replace retiring State Representative Dan Johnson. Jason Thompson is at this point the Republican nominee. So that's big news because that is decisive in the race. But official as of today, I'm looking at the paperwork right now. Paul Borup filed with the Office of Lieutenant Governor on today's date. It doesn't say a time here, but Paul Borup signed, I hereby withdraw as a candidate for this office. So Utah House 3, as of this document that was filed with the Lieutenant Governor's office today, actually, I do see a time here. Clerk Auditor stamp on the document. 8:31 a.m. this morning, Paul Borup withdrew from the race. So River Heights Mayor Jason Thompson is officially the Republican nominee to replace retiring representative, and one of my favorites, Representative Dan Johnson. So bit of news there for everyone. Again, as far as getting in touch with the candidates, I recommend contacting Jeff Cox and crew directly at the Cash GOP contact information on their website, cashgop.com, and I've linked to that on our Facebook page if you want to find it there later. If you're driving, you're welcome to host candidate events yourself. The party will even help you organize that type of thing. But you can also find contact information for the candidates directly if you have a specific question or an issue that you'd like to discuss with them. And again, we'll see how this continues to play out. But again, some news that made itself my way just before the show today. Paul Borup has officially filed paperwork with the Lieutenant Governor's office this morning to withdraw from the House 3 race. And that means that River Heights Mayor and candidate for Utah House 3, Jason Thompson, is the official Republican nominee, which means he is going to, I mean, barring some complete unexpected in the general election with the Democrat, Jason Thompson, River Heights Mayor, is going to be the next representative in Utah House 3, replacing Representative Dan Johnson. And every time I say that, it just hits me how much I'm going to miss Dan Johnson. There has not been a more effective House representative in the state than Representative Dan Johnson. He stayed out of the spotlight as far as controversial things, voted with his party on most issues, and I know some people have been critical of him for some of the more divisive things that the party at large has gotten up to the last couple of years specifically. But his bills that he put his name on or sponsored as a floor sponsor from the Senate, all just nuts and bolts bills running the state. He's done a lot of great things for education and nonprofits here in Cache Valley, and his presence in the legislature is going to be missed. Big shoes to fill.
And a very nice person.
Yeah, very nice person as well. So, Dan, if you're out there listening, big fans. Sorry to see you go, but also hope you enjoy the retirement. You've earned it. We'll be back with more of For the People. Talk about a tragic news story today that stemmed from the antics of one gubernatorial campaign. And unfortunately, United States Senator Mike Lee had the bad judgment to get involved. Bomb threats at a school in Payson today over this. We'll spell it out right after this.
Have you pulled your spring sheets out of storage, and do they smell stale and need freshening up? How about your blankets and your quilts? Are things dingy from winter use? Well, go to Mount Logan Laundry. It takes no time at all to freshen everything up with their 55 and 80-pound washers and dryers, and it costs a lot less than the dry cleaners, and free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, too. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan, or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
You may not be ready for spring cleanup, but your trees are. Hi, this is Chelsea with Whole Tree Care. Call now because we are starting to get real busy. Let our guys come trim your trees and shrubs, and I can assure you, when the weather warms up and your trees leaf out, you'll love the way they look. Also, if any of your trees suffered winter damage from heavy snow or wind, let us come clean it up. Call 760-6587. Call now while visibility is perfect. Hull Tree Care, Hull Tree Care, 760-6587.
The Above and Beyond Salute.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning, Michael. My name is Will Feelright. I'm calling on behalf of Firehouse Subs because I want to give you free lunch.
Oh, that's nice.
I found out from one of our listeners that you're a nurse. Is that correct?
Correct.
How long have you been a nurse?
A little over 14 years.
Oh, okay. So what made you want to get into healthcare?
Love taking care of people.
Hey, appreciate what you do.
The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Sometimes politics can be so silly, and it's always the adults acting silly, and sometimes at kids' expense. Backstory on this, you may have heard some of the headlines. This was quickly debunked with a few phone calls to the school, but the Phil Lyman campaign and some activists well known in certain circles in southern Utah with podcasts and things like that. Video showed up earlier this week of this supposed protest at a Nebo school, and it was, so there were middle school kids holding signs obviously written by adults. I mean, that was the first tell. I don't know what the organizers of this were thinking. Rumor has it it's a candidate for school board in the area that was behind this, who had been actually fired by the school before filing to run as a candidate. And her husband hosts a popular, in the area, I guess, podcast. And he was the first to share the video of these kids. He first claimed he just happened upon this protest. And then people started saying, what are you doing hanging out at a middle school, dude? And he then corrected his fib and said, well, okay, I actually was alerted by the organizers of the protest last night. And then people said, the middle school kids called you last night? He said, no, their parents called me last night. So it was pretty quickly obvious that parents organized this supposedly organic protest of middle school kids. What were they protesting? Furries in the classroom. A thing that has never been a thing. If you're not familiar with what a furry is, I'm not going to explain it on air, but you can Google it. This has been going around for a couple of years. Litter boxes in the classroom. Teachers are putting litter boxes in the classrooms for these kids that think they're animals. It's never been a real thing. Ever. It is a Facebook meme that some people chose to believe. It turns out what was happening is a popular trend right now where these headbands with animal ears are very popular with kids. We all remember middle school enough to know these things happen, right? The trend pops up, everybody's doing it, and it's for fun, and it's kids being kids. Well, the parents decided to turn this into a thing. The video made its way online earlier this week. Phil Lyman, candidate for governor, jumped right on it and promoted it all day long. With a lot of over-the-top rhetoric about these brave kids in this parent-planned, not at all organic protest. Basically, coaching their kids and making signs for them. That was obvious in the video. When I first saw the video, that was the first thing I noticed. And like, well, no kid designed those signs. These were like professionally printed signs using words. The kids are chanting, "We the people." Middle school kids don't chant, "We the people." In that area, I guess their parents do, and their parents coach them. It was all around an embarrassing display. Today, it took a very serious turn, and unfortunately, Senator Mike Lee catching some deserved heat because, of course, he lost his common sense for a bit and jumped on the bandwagon with Phil Lyman. And the tragic end of all of this is today the school was shut down because of bomb threats. The story that wasn't a real story was picked up by a popular Twitter account that has, over the last few weeks, I just learned this today, been sending bomb threats to Planet Fitness locations. You can Google that, too, if you want to know the whole background on that. The owner of the Twitter account says she's not responsible at all for the bomb threats, but it's very clear that the bomb threats follow her tweets. And unfortunately, she feels no responsibility for this, even though she has to know it's happening. It's no laughing matter. A school was shut down. Parents received a text today that there was a bomb threat at the school, and the kids were either to not come in or would be sent home. Later, they said, okay, the law enforcement spent the morning here. So they wasted law enforcement's time, both local police, sheriff's department, and highway patrol involved in an hours-long bomb sniff of the school. So kids were affected, law enforcement's time wasted, all because a fake story fooled a gubernatorial candidate and, unfortunately, United States Senator Mike Lee as well. People, I don't know what to say. If the kids had just done this, I would say, kids do stupid things. It's unfortunate it escalated into a point where this Twitter account known for sending unhinged people to target and attack whoever they're mad at that day picked it up. But kids do stupid things. What you going to do? But where parents obviously planned this and coached the kids to make this fake video that they were hoping would go viral and create all this controversy, it was picked apart immediately. KUTV, KSL, Salt Lake Tribune, Deseret News all called the school and the school district, and they said, no, this was fake. And it actually is an incident that we've been trying to deal with internally for a while. And they basically confirmed it's a few parents behind this, not the kids, and that it's been causing trouble at the school for a while. So I just want to say this to parents who might be considering getting involved in such a negative way in their child's education. Get a life. Really. This is such an embarrassing story all around. It's likely, although his recent event that got him on CNN, Phil Lyman's campaign, probably already ended then. He just doesn't know it yet. He made it on a CNN report for tweeting that it was the fact that two black people served on the board over the bridge that was hit by the boat that lost control. He said it was DEI that caused this bridge collapse. CNN reported on that. What an embarrassing look for Utah. If that didn't end his campaign, this did. And it's so unfortunate. And again, the fact that supposedly adults are behind this, let your kids go to school. Let your kids have fun. Let your kids do kids things. Don't turn it into a political movement. It's such a disservice to your kids. And there are real world consequences to this stuff, as we tragically saw today with the school shut down over bomb threats to the school. Man, grow up, people. 753-5868. We'll be back right after this.
KVNU News Time is 4:35. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Logan Extermination. The Biden administration is moving to let conservationists lease government land for restoration. It's part of an effort to make conservation an equal to other uses of public land, such as drilling and livestock grazing. Republican lawmakers contend the changes are a backdoor to excluding agriculture and energy development from vast areas, primarily in the West. Administration officials have said conservation leases would not lock out other uses of U.S. Bureau of Land Management property. The agency oversees about 10% of all land in the U.S. and for more than a century has issued leases for drilling and permits for livestock grazing. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman sat next to the former Arizona Coyotes owner in a downtown Phoenix hotel meeting room, trying to put a positive spin on the funeral for a franchise. A few hours later, Bettman would sit next to the new Coyotes owner in Salt Lake City to bask in the excitement of the league's newest city and a fan base that had been itching for another team to join the NBA's Utah Jazz. One day, two drastically different news conferences. The Coyotes will move to Salt Lake City following the $1.2 billion sale of the franchise to Jazz owner Ryan Smith. Utah fans are expectedly excited. Arizona fans are decidedly dejected after losing a franchise that had been in Phoenix since 1996. The owner in Phoenix will retain the Coyotes' name, hoping for an expansion team once he has a new arena in the Phoenix area. And Zach Wilson remains a member of the New York Jets, but general manager Joe Douglas was non-committal on the future of the quarterback Thursday at his annual pre-draft news conference. Wilson received permission by the Jets during the offseason to seek a trade after a disappointing 3 years since being the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft. Douglas called Wilson an asset, but added that the Jets are open to trading him, and there have been discussions with other teams. Douglas acknowledged the 24-year-old Wilson was not present at the team's facility this week as off-season workouts began. Wilson showed some flashes during his 3 years of the playmaking ability that made the Jets covet him in 2021 out of BYU. But Wilson mostly struggled with consistency, and there have been questions as to whether he can be a legitimate NFL starter. KBNU News Time is 4:38.
The bugs love the good weather. I'm guessing you have a bunch of those creepy crawlers waiting patiently to come into your cozy home. Let Logan Extermination take care of those unwanted pests with a monthly exterior spray. Now, for a limited time, they'll spray your home's exterior monthly from April to October for only $65 per month for a 2,000 square foot or less home. Call Logan Extermination before your home becomes enemy territory. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger. 12 jurors and 6 alternates have been selected for former President Trump's hush money case. The former president speaking to reporters outside the courtroom.
We just had another hearing, and the trial starts on Monday, which is long before a lot of people thought. The judge wants this to go as fast as possible.
An appeals court rejected a defense motion to delay because they say jury selection was rushed. The UAW's drive to expand its reach to non-union factories across the South gets a key test tonight when workers at a VW plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee, finished voting whether to join the union. The White House says it will restrict oil and gas leases in 13 million acres of Alaska's petroleum reserve in order to protect wildlife threatened as the Arctic continues to warm. The oil industry's top lobbying group says that decision is, in its words, misguided. This is ABC News.
KBNU weather for tonight, mostly cloudy, low in the upper 30s, and then mostly sunny tomorrow, mid-60s for the high, sunny and around 70 on Sunday. It's been to 59 today. It's 56 right now at KBNU. U&I Furniture has been located in the same place for 94 years. That doesn't happen unless you're doing something right. For 94 years, family owned and operated, 5 generations of taking care of customers. There is always a better buy at U&I, downtown Logan, 28 West, 1st North. You can always get more news at CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is financial advisor Riker Woolsey from Edward Jones, bringing you the daily financial market report. After a steady rally from October to the beginning of April, the stock market has shown its first signs of fatigue recently. The S&P 500 finished lower for the week, marking the third straight weekly loss, the first such streak in over 5 months. Volatility rarely feels comfortable, but perspective is useful here. The stock market is down just 5% from the all-time high. For context, equities have historically experienced 2 5% dips per year on average, so this bout of weakness is, in our view, normal. Moreover, after the more than 25% rally over the last several months, we think a breather is to be expected, if not healthy. The technology sector, which has been a runaway leader for the market over the last year, is among the laggards during this pullback, which we believe reflects some normal rebalancing within the market, instead of signaling something more structural or worrisome about the outlook. We wouldn't rule out some additional ongoing volatility as markets continue to assess the inflation and Fed policy outlook, as well as the tenuous situation in the Middle East. but we think the underpinnings of this bull market remain in decent shape, making temporary pullbacks, in our view, a compelling buying opportunity. Today, U.S. equities closed lower. The Dow closed up 211 points, or 0.56% at 37,987. The Nasdaq closed down 319 points, or 2.05% at 15,282. The S&P 500 closed down 44 points, or 0.88% at 4,967. And in the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 4.62%, lower by 0.01 percentage points. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Riker Woolsey, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 580 North Main Street, Suite 160 in Logan, Utah. If you would like additional information, please contact me at 435-787-8170. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
We're out at Anderson Seed and Garden talking to the garden guru himself, Mark Anderson, and a few minutes ago we were talking about how to take care of the grasses in your yard, the weeds in your yard that you want to try to kill off, get rid of. But I'm sure another question you get a lot is, how do you take care of the grass in your raspberry plants? That's always the worst for us. You get grass coming between those raspberries, and it's so hard to get rid of.
It really is. And the raspberries themselves are kind of scratchy, so every time you get in there and try and pull grass out, you end up scratching your arms, and it just never wants to come out. So we've got some really great products that will help with raspberries, but it works around all kinds of plants as well too, and it just kills grass and won't kill anything else. So if you spray it over ground covers, if you spray it over perennial flowers, if you spray your strawberries, if you spray your asparagus or shrubs or even around trees, it will kill the grass and leave plants that you want to keep. So these are desirable plants. It's called Over the Top. So we've got Over the Top special pricing on that this weekend here for our open house. We have a spreader sticker that goes with it. You mix the two together. And also a really great price on our herbicide enhancer, which is a different type of surfactant, but it works great with that grass killer. Also, make it adhere to the weeds, make it penetrate in faster, kill those plants, that grass off much quicker when you mix those two together. But the Over the Top, you can use it on even plants that look like grass. So it works on iris, it works on daylilies, but it won't hurt those. And then it works on a lot of edibles like strawberries and raspberries and asparagus, and ground covers, bulbs, even daffodils that kind of look like grass too, like they've got that grassy looking stem. Won't bother those, kills the grass like crazy. Then once you get the grass out, they put down a product like Azeron, also on sale this weekend. And Azeron will kill weeds as they germinate, so it kills the seeds as they germinate, prevents new stuff from coming up, kills a lot of weeds and grasses that are there already. But it won't hurt your raspberries, it won't hurt grapes, it won't hurt shrubs, it won't hurt trees, anything that's got bark on it, or a cane plant like roses or grapes or raspberries, blackberries. And it just does a great job of preventing and killing weeds that are there, and it lasts for 6 months. So,
yeah, you can say it's a great combination to use those two together, and you don't have to worry about weeding at all.
Oh, no, it saves so much time, so much work, and it just kills those pesky weeds and grasses you can't get rid of in and around your raspberries. And so it's going to save you tons of time and hours of work, and do a great job at preventing those weeds from coming back.
And the best part is they are on sale this weekend for the spring open house at Anderson Seed and Garden. We're at 69 West Center, downtown Logan.
This year, celebrate your anniversary with diamond jewelry from S.E. Needham Jewelers. Adorned in diamonds, she will feel elegant and cherished. Choose from a large selection of diamond bands, diamond pendants, and diamond earrings. Also, you'll enjoy a beautiful selection of diamonds mounted in rose gold. We price our diamond jewelry with an integrity price guarantee so that you can be assured the best possible value, with 12 months interest-free financing available. For the people and occasions that matter most, S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
Your 401k is likely one of your most important assets, but it's only one part of a comprehensive retirement strategy. Edward Jones can help you understand how your retirement assets fit into your entire retirement picture, so you work toward your unique retirement goals. Contact one of the 7 offices of Edward Jones in Cache Valley, or go to edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Again, for those just tuning in, some breaking news. This actually happened at about 8, looking at the timestamp on the paperwork that you can download from the Lieutenant Governor's office. By the way, many people don't know this. You can actually set up notifications and reminders from vote.utah.gov on election changes. So if something is recorded and filed with Lieutenant Governor's office, or if a on election night, as votes are counted, if there's an update from a county or a city in a municipal race, even at vote.utah.gov, or you can also use elections.utah.gov. Either one will get you to roughly the same place. In addition to checking your registration, updating your registration, getting candidate lists and things like that, seeing candidate filing documents, if there's a change or an update, you can set to get notifications. Now, I do that. I understand most people don't have an interest in doing that, but I do it because of the show. And it's great because you get real-time notifications as soon as something is official with the Lieutenant Governor's office, whether that's vote counting on election night or status change to candidates and campaigns. And one of those is official now with Lieutenant Governor's office as of this afternoon. Paperwork was actually filed at 8:31 a.m. this morning. In that Utah House 3 race, roughly the center of the valley, Logan City, currently represented until the end of the year by retiring Representative Dan Johnson. Two candidates in that race, Jason Thompson, current River Heights mayor, and former county council member Paul Borup. But a change of status in that race as of official word from the Lieutenant Governor's office around 4 o'clock today. Paul Borup has withdrawn from the race, meaning that this is big news because that means there will not be a primary. That means Jason Thompson, current River Heights mayor, is the official Cache GOP nominee to replace retiring state representative Dan Johnson. And no offense to the Democrats, but I don't think this is going to be your year. So that means that barring any absolute shocking developments, which I guess could happen, River Heights Mayor Jason Thompson is likely to be the state House representative for House District 3, Logan City, roughly, if you want to understand where that district is. So, in a way, congrats to River Heights Mayor Jason Thompson, official Republican nominee, with Paul Borup again withdrawing from that race this morning. And the Lieutenant Governor's office recording it and making it official as of about 4 o'clock today. That's the latest update on the campaign trail. I just wanted to mention this. I don't really have a lot to say about it. I'm not familiar with the man's music. I know, though, that he is pretty famous. And I wish that Cache Valley was attached to someone pretty famous in a more positive way, though it's no fault of Cache Valley or any of the residents here. But this is, for a lot of young people, are going to recognize the name. It's a rapper with a big online presence, huge, millions of followers on TikTok and Instagram, been around for a few years. I'm not a huge fan of his music. I'm more of a Kendrick Lamar kind of rap fan. But NBA Youngboy is how he goes, and the NBA stands for I forget now. Never Broke Again is what the NBA stands for. So not basketball. NBA Youngboy was arrested here in Cache County by deputies for an alleged pattern of unlawful activity. The story, though, is mind-blowing. It's almost like something out of a Netflix thriller. That was written and scripted to be a bit over the top, but this is real life. His real name is Kentrell Deshaun Galden. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce Kentrell, or Kentrell maybe. But he's known again as NBA Youngboy. Millions of followers online, millions of dollars in music sales over the years. Was booked into the Cache County Jail Tuesday afternoon this week, according to law enforcement, and jail records show that this 24-year-old musician was booked on possession of dangerous weapon by a restricted person, pattern of unlawful activity, both second-degree felonies, and identity fraud and forgery, third-degree felonies, and misdemeanor drug possession. The press release from Cache County Sheriff's Lieutenant McKelshan Barchi said a search warrant had been executed on Galden's residence early Tuesday morning, and he lives he was living until arrest in Huntsville. I didn't know that. I had no idea he was in Utah at all. I'd just seen him online and assumed he was somewhere else, but apparently been living in Huntsville for a while. And but he was arrested in Cache County after a search warrant was executed on his residence early Tuesday morning. And both the Cache-Rich Drug Task Force, the FBI, and Homeland Security were all involved in this. Now, why Homeland Security? That's where you get into the details of this. Galton was living also in a Salt Lake City house under house arrest previously, and had allegedly been involved in a 2019 Miami shooting, which was a story I'd heard again when his TikTok and Instagram accounts went silent in 2019. And he'd previously faced arrest and charges for attempted murder, drugs, guns, assault, and kidnapping. And he relocated quietly, apparently, to Utah as part of a courtroom deal in 2021 in which his lawyers argued that basically he needed to move somewhere where he'd be completely removed from bad influences in his life. And so Huntsville, Utah was the place. Under house arrest, the story at CacheValleyDaily.com, where I'm reading all this, you can read it too. Galton was visited by missionaries of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He got to be friends with them, I guess, and he once told Billboard magazine that he was was even considering baptism into the church once his ankle monitor was removed. But Barchi said that this was a complex investigation. They didn't have a lot of details to release, but it involved kind of a pretty elaborate pharmacy fraud with fake prescriptions being called in. At a certain point, someone involved with this crime ring that Galton was directly involved in, NBA Youngboy, actually called the sheriff's department. And once the investigation was underway and the search on the house had begun, apparently somebody called the Cache County Sheriff's Office pretending to be someone else, hoping to derail the investigation, I guess. I don't know what their purpose was. Details of that phone call are strange as well. And that's also in the Cache Valley Daily story. But yeah, I did not expect there to ever be a Cache County NBA Youngboy National Homeland Security investigation story in the news, but it happened this week. More details again in the story at CacheValleyDaily.com, and I've linked to that on our Facebook page, and we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
Out here at Anderson Seed and Garden, where it's finally starting to feel like spring. We can't say it is spring yet because we know there's probably still going to be a few more very cold mornings that we're going to have to deal with. But we're here with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden, and to kick off the spring open house, you've blown out all the stops with some of the discounts when it comes to plants, including a really great coupon deal where you can save $10 on some beautiful flowers.
Yeah, and it's a little early for some annuals, but we've got pansies in full flats of 48 plants. So our coupon is for a flat of flowers in a pony pack setup. So that's 48 plants. So it's good for, we've got petunias in stock right now. We've got some snapdragons. We've got some lobelia. We've got some marigolds. It's a little early for some of those to go out, but the price is hard to beat. They're usually $32.29, and they're on sale for $19.99 with our coupon. So you're going to save about $12 on a full flat of pansies or petunias or marigolds, or we've got a lot of different flowers to choose from, and that's for your first flat. And we've got some extra coupons here. We've got extra copies of our flyer that has all the specials for today and tomorrow here at Anderson's for our open house. And it's a great deal for a flat of flowers, and it's your first flat of flowers. You can keep them inside for a little bit, take care of them. And as soon as it warms up, you can get those guys outside. Great deals also on our herbs. Our herbs are regularly $6 for some 4-inch herbs, and we've got them on sale for $4. So $2 off on our 4-inch herbs. Our geraniums are regularly they're about $4.25. We got them on sale for $1.79, so that's even better than half price. And jumbo tomatoes, $4.99. Strawberries, our jumbo packs, they are half price. So regularly $9.99, on sale for $4.99. So a lot of great deals. Don't forget about our coupon special on those flats of flowers. 48 flowers for $19.99 instead of $32. And some really good deals going on here at Anderson's. It feels like spring.
Yeah, and the reason it feels like spring is you walk over right next to where we're at, and you've got all your trees and shrubs that we haven't even mentioned that you have those on sale as well.
That's right. We just got a couple trucks of some gorgeous trees that have come in from Oregon. We just got a whole bunch of shrubs in from Northern California and Washington, and our nursery is just full. And the flowering plants, like the flowering trees, they are in full bloom. They look amazing, and it's just a great time to come down to Anderson's because we have great selection of flowering trees, shade trees, flowering shrubs, regular shrubs, and a lot of bare root plants and fruits as well too. So great time to come see us.
And when you find the tree or the shrub that you love, talk to the associates here at Anderson Seed and Garden, and they will help you with the perfect blend of fertilizers and everything you need to be able to get your plant established. And they back it up with a guarantee. Here at Anderson Seed and Garden at 69 West Center in downtown Logan, the spring open house continues through the weekend.
Join us each week for music and the spoken word, featuring the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, the longest-running continuous weekly network broadcast in the world. Each episode features modern and traditional arrangements of spiritual, classical, and contemporary music and a timely, inspiring message. Truly an uplifting program that will have you returning to each week. Music and the spoken word with the Tabernacle Choir.
Sunday mornings at 8 and again in the afternoons at 6 on News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. For the People movie show with Andy Morgan coming up in just a bit, in hour 2. So, sticking with my promise to end the serious shows and hours on a more positive note. This one isn't funny. This one isn't odd news trivia or anything like that. I just want to recommend something to people. If you are looking for a place where you can find content that is similar to what, back when magazines used to be a thing. You remember those, Bill?
I do.
I'm talking news stories and current events, but detailed and long, like 14, 15 paragraph reports and editorials and more on just, random topics, not always just current events. Very interesting stuff. Really pushes back against the soundbite social media era of news. If you're looking for something like that, check out a site called Longreads. It's longreads.com, and man, they're knocking it out of the park this week. I've linked some of their stories on our Facebook page. Check it out. I'd like to see us get back to some of this deeper dive stuff. Hour 2 in the movie.